Hey guys, and welcome to the finale of Let's Play Illusion of Gaia. I can't remember how long the ending sequence is for this game, but if it's too big, I'll split it in two. Here's our final boss. Okay, when those, whatever they are, pop out, those yellow things, we want to use our absorption tactic, use R1 or L1 or R. Here I am mixing up controllers again. And other than that, basically it'll usually goes in stages. He will pop out 4 sets of those, or she, or whatever, 4 sets of those attacks there, the yellow ones. And then they will, she'll reveal herself and you'll be able to damage her. Those blue things don't deal a lot of damage, just keep swatting like this and you don't really have too much to worry about. It's kind of surprising for a final boss to have such an easy way to exploit the game, but oh well. Not much to this boss, basically stand in the middle, absorb those, attack, and right before they're about to attack with that green ray, you'll want to use Aura to dissolve, and then you won't take any damage from that. Like I said, the blue things, not a lot to worry about. Boss should not last more than a minute or two. But yeah, this is our final boss. Reminiscent of anything else? Oh well. Yeah, it kind of comes out of nowhere and really doesn't represent anything we fought in the game before, considering everything in this game is, takes place on the actual Earth. And then they throw a boss that is supposed to be a god, or at least the spirit form, that is on a comet. Yeah, the dialogue is scrolling automatically here, so if it's going too fast, you'll have to pause, because I can't do anything about it. Oh, well that's nice. The evil star has flown off. Oh, would you look at that? Apparently they applied Star Trek Voyager logic to that one. I'm gonna take 16 guesses, and each time I'm gonna guess it's the Earth. There you go. There you go. Yeah, the text scrolls a little slowly here, but shouldn't be, Unfortunately, with the way I like to comment on things, I like to leave on a text box when I want to comment, for like a minute on that one specific idea. But in this case, it scrolls too slow, for just kind of breezing through it and glance, talking about things at kind of a glance. But it doesn't last long enough for me to actually, get into talking about something that actually, matters. It's kind of unfortunate. That's why I don't like scrolling dialogue. If they're going to have scrolling dialogue, and I guess this game is far too old for this, but I would like to have, voice actors. I'd rather have dialogue, spoken dialogue, if, you're going to have something that flows and goes like that all on its own. But, this game is too old for that, and so I don't have a problem with it. I'm not a big fan of it myself. And apparently Will's mother has joined us while I was, rambling on. Again, why I don't like scrolling text. I would think that most people think about their parents with some level of regularity. I wouldn't expect, to just never think of your parents unless you happen to, never remember your parents or something like that, in which case, my apologies, but... How is it? How are we standing here, anyway? We're standing on a glowing comet in outer space, without space suits, without breathing apparatus. Yeah, it's Illusion of Gaia. I don't have a problem with that, considering all the other weird crap that's been crammed into this game. But, yeah. Oh, so we want to show our friends that really didn't do much of anything in this game. I guess Lance did something. He went and forced us to go to the Great Wall of China, so we had to go there. And Neil saved us a couple of times with Deus Ex Machina, but that's pretty much it. So you want to bring everyone to outer space so that they can see how the Earth looks from above. If you are to do that, then you're going to have to fast evolve the planet so that, we actually have the ability to build spaceships so we can go up and actually look down on it, because with the current level of technology in this game, there's no way that you can bring them up here. Hell, you guys shouldn't even be up here. The map has started to change. That's not quite correct. The planet itself is changing. And here we're going to give you a very, very rudimentary idea of how the continents have evolved and changed over the years. And they don't even really show off any of the great supercontinents such as Rodinia and Pangea. They just slowly take on the current shape. And the thing is, most of the ideas they talked about, like the Great Wall of China and the pyramids, these were all built when the world was in this configuration. They never had those other configurations during all of these ideas, these, actual world events. The layout of the continents has changed minusculely, if at all, since human beings existed. So it's, it's something that happens over a much larger period of time. So apparently this comet is evolving the world too. Evolution is magic, I guess. I don't know. Changed its shape. I'm gonna put this controller down. I don't need to hold that anymore. Scrolling text. Only good thing about it. Actually, I've heard people complain about, long sequences, especially in newer games, long sequences of dialogue with voice actors, because they can basically put the controller down and not have to do it. It's not like playing a game anymore. It's like, watching a movie, or, like a short, little video on YouTube or something like that. I actually like it because it removes the game aspect for a second to allow you to get closer into the story. And this only really works if there's a good story. And this is not a good idea to talk about when doing a Let's Play Evolution of Gaia, because, yeah, you know why. But, I definitely like being able to kind of sit there, for 10 minutes and just get enveloped in the story, and, you start to connect with the characters a little more that way, as opposed to if, you have to press the button at the end of everyone's line of dialogue, which I always, always hate. And apparently we can resume our current forms and become regular children again, even though we're, I don't know, I guess since we've been able to align ourselves with Shadow, we basically have become Shadow. I don't know what the hell is going on here. Yes, that is all. Down a new path. Well, I'm just gonna... Well, there's not a lot to talk about when it comes to this game as far as plot goes, so I'm gonna get right into the review now. Yeah, I'll might comment on some of this here and there, I don't know. But yeah, the as far as this game goes, little mini review. The story is way over the top, and it's worth a play just to laugh at it, of how ridiculous the plot is. You can only get so much of what the game is from a Let's Play or online videos. You actually have to sit down and play the game yourself in order to really feel what's going on in the game and to notice certain things, because with me yapping so much, you're going to notice the stuff that I'm yapping about more than the stuff that you would otherwise notice by yourselves. So yeah, I definitely recommend playing the game just for the shits and giggles that this game will give you, because it's really, really funny. But I think I almost would have preferred, like, if it was a serious game, and it isn't really, if it was supposed to be a serious game, I would have preferred less story, because the story is just so ridiculous. So as far as the story goes, on like a 1 to 10 scale, I'd probably give it like a 5. And, you know, the story itself is bland, predictable. It's the same stuff that you do in any real RPG or adventure game from the time. So I don't have a problem with that. But it didn't do anything really unique when it came to story. Where this game shines is music and gameplay. Now, the music, there's not a lot to really talk about. There's not a lot of songs. But, you know, I don't think each dungeon got their own theme, but enough of them did that it was always interesting to go to a new dungeon and see what exactly they were going to do with the music. You know, and the scene I talked about a lot with Hamlet, you know, getting fried, that one theme is probably my favorite from the entire game. The other one would probably be the world map music. Those are my two favorite tracks from this game. And normally I don't do like a, you know, favorite list because, you know, with Final Fantasy VII, I think the soundtrack contains like 75 different songs. I can't remember all of them. So, you know, Final Fantasy IX is even worse. I think with special editions and all that, there's over 100 songs on the soundtrack. Plus, there's a soundtrack of just the videos, and they put some other music on those that weren't in the actual game themselves. And apparently, they become Shadow again, or they're going to in a second, so that they can go back to the planet. I guess, sure. But yeah, so I do like the music. You know, it was reasonably well composed for the time. I would have preferred more songs, but the game's so short that it really doesn't need them. I just, you know, a personal preference of mine, I'd like to see more. But apparently the Earth changed, you know, by the time, you know, from the time we were on the comet to the time we got back. So sure, I guess. Yeah. As far as gameplay goes, you know, they ripped some ideas from Zelda. I don't blame them for that. Zelda's awesome, you know. The Zelda series has done a lot of things really, really well. Story has never really been one of them. Gameplay has always been where Zelda shines, and this game, being a Zelda clone, is very much the same way. I like the fact that we get, you know, different skills for each of our characters. You know, well, each of our forms, I guess you'd call them. But I would have preferred Freedan to get some more interesting abilities. You know, he got the Dark Friar, and that's all we ever really used. You know, we had to use the other ability, the Earthquaker, once, and that's all we ever use it for. And we got it so late in the game that there's no point. It just seemed like busy work having to run all the way to another dark space to get the ability to kill an enemy that we could have just killed normally. If they'd implemented it earlier, it would have been better. But, you know, I like having, you know, abilities like Psycho Slider, Psycho Dash, Spin Dash, all really interesting abilities that were a lot of fun to play around with, you know, and they give you different strategies to kind of work on for fighting enemies, which is pretty cool. And we have Will running through the staff credits. Yeah, as far as, what else do I need to talk about? The characters. Yeah, the characters. The characters have no personality in this game, and the ones that do, Kara, I don't like. So, yeah, as far as characters go, they're nothing special. They're bland, they're one-dimensional, they're completely flat, you know, and moldable. And if that's your preference, you know, sure thing. It's funny how Seth gets left behind first, considering what happened to him in the game. Though you would think that Lance would get left behind next. Oh well. Yeah, I definitely like, you know, the play system, the battle system. You know, I like being able to explore all the dungeons. As far as exploration goes, this game. Labyrinthine is the word to describe this game. Insane story, but labyrinthine dungeons. I think they went a little too far with the dungeons, and I would have preferred, as far as graphics go, some ways of getting ourselves through these dungeons, some more landmarks so that they're not so confusing, because there's a lot of areas in here, you know, especially on the first or second time playing the game, you're going to get lost. A lot. You know, I've played this game, I don't know, 5 times by now. Oh, there's Lily. Yay! You know, I've probably played this game 5, maybe 6 times by now, and I still get lost in this game. You know, before I made an episode, I usually check the map for the area I was about to go into so I know where to go. You know, I have a general idea of where to go, but there are so many twists and turns, and areas look the same. Specifically, places like the Seaside Palace, all the doors and areas look the same. The Pyramid was another one where a lot of the things look the same, as well as Mount Temple. Mount Temple was just nuts. I did not enjoy that one at all. That's probably my second least favorite dungeon, only because Angkor Wat, even though it's straightforward, has some of the most annoying enemies in the game. As far as enemies went, you know, most of the enemies are not too challenging, you know, they're not, you know, super unique either, but they did have some unique elements, you know, having to block and stuff like that, which I liked, you know, that was nice to see. And what else? Graphics. As far as graphics go, kind of upper mid-range kind of deal. You know, it's nothing super special, but, you know, it's interesting enough. I also would have preferred, you know, if we could have moved around on the world map. Even if they had done the world map similar to the way they did Star Ocean, the first game on Super Nintendo, these graphics look very similar to the graphics from Star Ocean. And Star Ocean had kind of an interesting map sequence where it wasn't like a world map like, say, Final Fantasy IV, but it was a world map, and you could just go through, like, you know, 5 or 6 different sequences that were slightly confusing, but not too much, and then you get to the next town. I would have preferred something like that. At least that would have given, you know, a lot more emphasis behind, you know, how long it took us to get to a certain place. You just make, you know, the connection between those 2 villages a little longer. But I guess, you know, too much to fit on the small cartridge. Yeah. There's only so much you can do with some of these earlier games. But yeah, is there anything else I need to talk about? There's a lot of sequences, like specifically the raft sequence and, you know, going through the underwater tunnel that just, you know, the timelines just didn't make a lot of sense. But this all comes down to writing. And, you know, as far as the writing goes, I've already kind of said my bit on it. You know, it had its problems, but, you know, overall, it's not terrible. As far as, yeah, overall, I think the game's fun. So I would recommend playing it if you haven't played it before, especially if you like, you know, Zelda-type games or Castlevania. Castlevania is one of those games that I'm not very good at, though I do enjoy playing them. I just would prefer some better controls. And for the most part, the controls in this game are pretty fluid, and they work quite well. So I have to give the game props for that. But I definitely do recommend playing this game just, you know, for the enjoyment factor. It's, you know, you don't have to spend too much thinking on it, especially if you have, you know, maps. You know, by the way, there are maps at, I think it's VGMaps or VGMapper.com or .org or something like that. And a lot of those are like screenshot based, and there's also some on GameFAQs that are, you know, hand-drawn maps or computer-drawn maps or whatever you want to do. And those are really good too for trying to find your way through the game. You know, there's also, you know, walkthroughs that'll list where all the red jewels are if you happen to forget, though I found them all in here, so you can always check back in the videos if you feel the need to. But yeah, I would recommend playing the game. As far as what I'm doing next, what am I going to do next? I've been thinking about a lot of games to do next. However, it's kind of unfortunate because there's a lot of games I'd like to show off, games I feel like playing, games I haven't played in a long time. However, I haven't played them in a long time, or I've only played them a few times, or in the case of one game that I'm thinking of, the after-game content is nearly as long as the regular game content, and I'm not sure how I feel about having to do, you know, an 80-hour game as a Let's Play. But yeah, I've been thinking about moving into, you know, some of the PS2 games, There's also some more PlayStation games that I'd like to work on as well as, you know, thinking about Diablo. Who knows? I haven't really decided at this point, but if anyone's interested in what I might do next, the few games that are kind of on my short list right now are Diablo 3, which has kind of fallen wayside since I made the video, however long ago that was, and Legend of Dragoon, and Star Ocean Till the End of Time. Now, Star Ocean is one of those games that definitely is, you know, a long game, and who knows how much of the game I'd cover. I covered the entire main story for sure. I don't know how far I'd go into the post-game content because it just gets repetitive, though I do like the game a lot. The other two series I'd actually was thinking about in the last little while was Xenosaga and Shadow Hearts. And I'm kind of wondering what you guys are thinking. You know, by the time this gets uploaded, I'll probably have already made a choice, considering it's probably about a week and a half, you know, ahead of the episode I uploaded today. But yeah, it would be interesting to get your take on it. That's pretty much all there is, except the final little sequence here, which just shows, again, the alarm bell sounds like sword fighting. Yeah, that's great. Class is over. So yeah, the entire world just kind of changed while they were away. And now we're in a completely different era. And the scrolling text sounds like Morse code or something. No, I'm not going to throw the clip in again. Once per Let's Play. Well, I shouldn't say that. Longer Let's Plays, I'll forget about that rule. Anyway, that's all. Where's Lily? Come on, game, where's Lily? Lily was actually interesting. Whatever. Anyway, that's all for Illusion of Gaia. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it, more than I thought it would, actually. So yeah, that's all for this, and I'll see you guys next time.